Right, okay, we are at 1/4 past. A warm welcome to everyone who's joined. We call this a webinar from Bailey and French, but it's, especially for people in the UK, it's a lunch and learn that you can call it. So grab a coffee, a tea, a Boots meal deal, whatever it is, and let's explore TeamFlow together. So what we're essentially talking about here with TeamFlow, it's enabling people, teams, and organisations to work seamlessly with each other for the benefits of all. And we're going to cover over the next 45 minutes. We're going to look at the inspiration behind TeamFlow. And TeamFlow is a, we're all part of programs. We run programs internally in our organisations that look at leaders, look at individuals, but very rarely do we actually look at what makes a team work together. Okay, so hopefully that this is a kind of fresh take on team development. We're going to look at the context as well. So where we are post-pandemic, hybrid ways of working. I'd imagine all of you have got some sort of split staff. Some come into the office, some stay at home. So how are we using the platforms to really engage our teams and help and allow or enable them to work with each other? And then lastly, we're going to look at what is Bailey and French program with it when it comes onto TeamFlow. So my name is Ben White. I'm a lead consultant here. I'll show you my horrible mug in a minute. We've got Rachel Morgan behind the scenes, and we've also got my colleague Jamie Marsh, who's going to take you a little bit through what TeamFlow actually is with Bailey and French. So I'll do my Chris Whitty thing here to Rachel now. Next slide, please. So I'm not sure if the chat function is actually working here, but the question function is. So all our workshops at Bailey and French start off with a positive starter. So this is to energize us. So I'm just going to put some questions to you at the offset. So what does being part of a team mean to you? Okay, so that can be a team within work or outside, from past and present. And then think of a time when you and your team collaborated effectively. What did that feel like? Okay. We would normally have the chat function, and I can bounce some ideas off with you. But if you do have any questions for us, so you want to reflect on that, you can put them in the questions function, and we'll try and pick them up within this webinar. If not, we'll come back to you at the end. For me, I was given this a thought before I came on this session today, but it was a football team I was part of when I was younger, and we all had positions. Of course, we knew each other's strengths. We stayed in our lane as a team does. But we also had a kind of common goal. We were all aligned to a purpose, and that wasn't only winning. That was a way of playing. That was a way that we practice. And the cohesion at the end really came from, we know each other really well. We knew each other. We knew our weaknesses. We knew our strengths. And that's where, in my life, and I've had it at work as well, but that's a good example. And we had that flow. And this is where the flow from TeamFlow comes from. So Michal Czech sent me Mihai and the Book of Flow. I don't know if anyone's read that. But flow is, and this is a great definition of what he actually says flow is. So being completely involved in an activity for its own sake. The ego falls away, time flies, every action, moment, and thought follows inevitably from the previous one. Like playing jazz, your whole being is involved, and you're using your skills to the utmost. So really looking at that peak performance. Obviously, as a team, we can't be in that peak performance mode all the time. But where are the times that we are in that constant flow, and how can we use them to increase performance and productivity? Jamie, I'm just going to use this point. Do you want to share a story from a team that you've been part of?
Yeah, absolutely. Good afternoon, everybody. Good to speak to you. In response to your question, Ben, absolutely happy to share something in terms of a team I've been part of. I suppose mine's a little bit more work related in the sense of a big project I've worked on in a previous role. Just thinking around, first and foremost, everybody working together to a common purpose or common goal and seeing that outcome super clearly. So whichever direction we were heading in, we were all doing that together, which I think was one of the reasons we were successful. I think one of the things that really stood out for me as part of that team, I suppose, was being able to anticipate and kind of be proactive in identifying potential risks and red flags that each other need to be aware of. So that real sense of, I know what my role is as a part of that particular project, but also knowing what everybody else's role was and what their contribution would be to the overall success. So yeah, that was the first thing that sprang to mind when you were talking, really.
Great, thank you, Jamie. And if we could move on, Rachel, that'd be great. Thank you. And there we are. So that odd-looking chap on the left is me, Ben White. We've got Jamie, who's just spoken, and Rachel is behind the scenes. And you know, just a little bit about Bailey & French. If we can just have the next slide, please, Rachel. You know, our purpose is very clear at Bailey & French. You know, everything we do is about the human element. We are humanizing the world of work, and we can't really mention that word human without really acknowledging what's happening in the world right now. And never has it been so important to find ways of how we can work with each other. Next slide, please, Rachel. So just coming on to the inspiration behind TeamFlow. And from the natural world, this is starling murmuration. So this is, I believe, this is on Brighton, the old West Pier. So Bailey & French's offices are down in Brighton. I'm not a Brighton native. I come down from London, and you can see these starlings sometimes moving, and you just think, you look at it in awe and just think, how do they do that? We've given it some thought, and there's kind of three rules that they do to move perfectly together. The first one is separation. Okay, so each starling flies independently to avoid possible danger and reacts accordingly when a danger is noticed. The next one is alignment. So each starling ensuring that they are always in contact with each other. Individually, they stay closest to the nearest 7 starlings. Okay, so they establish a close network of allies. And the final one is cohesion. Okay, so they all fly. They fly at the same speed, but not always in the same direction, as you can see. So great, it's a great tangible thing that we can see from nature. But what's this got to do with TeamFlow? Imagine if our teams within our organizations work in this seamless way. And we go on those 3 rules. We all need to be separate, right? We can't all work as a perfectly formed team all the time. Each team member needs separation or space to perform. They also need to be aligned. Okay, so this is the alignment piece. We all need to be aligned to a common goal. So that can come from the leader, but is it understood from the organization? Does that drip through to the team? And then final, the cohesion piece. You know, are we absolutely understanding that, you know, we are part of a bigger system here, a part of a bigger purpose within our organization? And coming back to how I framed TeamFlow at the beginning, you know, TeamFlow is very much there to enable people, teams, and organizations to work seamlessly for each other. Okay, next slide, please, Rachel. Okay, so let's just take a moment. We've kind of seen the inspiration behind TeamFlow, but let's take a moment where we are within our business settings. The new horizons. So, you know, after the rules were relaxed last month, you know, 83% of workers, and these are some stats I found, preferring a hybrid work model. Okay, so employees, and you're probably seeing this within your organizations, I work remotely and I come in the office as well. But it's pretty safe to say that hybrid ways of working are here to stay. Okay, 63% of high growth companies use a productivity anywhere hybrid work model. Okay, so again, giving our employees the flexibility to work wherever we are. But what kind of impact does this have on teams? Next slide, please, Rachel. Okay, this doesn't come without its challenges. Okay, so just some interesting stats here around the challenges that hybrid ways of working would form on a team. So 83% of companies say collaboration on new projects has been good or better than it was before. Okay, so companies are saying now that collaboration hasn't really changed. But an interesting stat here, so 87% of employees believe working in the office is important for collaborating and building relationships with team members. Okay, so even though hybrid is here to stay, still people think that the best way of building up relationships and having that collaboration, be it a meeting, be it a brainstorming session, whatever it is better or more effective face to face. So we can't really rule out we're going to have these differences of opinions. And an interesting one here, and this is more looking to the generations of people that we've got in our workforce. Okay, so we're probably seeing the tail end of baby boomers within an organization. But there are some differences with people, where they're new to a role, they're new to an industry, they're new to an organization, that they don't want to work at home all the time. They want to come in, they want to learn from others, they want to see people in the flesh. Okay, so 30% of employees with less than 5 years experience want to work remotely, but no more than 1 day a week. Okay, next slide, please, Rachel. Okay, so it's kind of time to start looking at the team in this new hybrid world. Okay, so hybrid teams, we need to engage hybrid teams. We need to engage with each other, with our work, independent of location and working hours even. Okay, so hybrid working hours is not just where we are we at home or in the office. There's also going to be a slight difference in working hours as well. Some quick tips how to do that: we can set clear expectations for all team members. Okay, we can create an inclusive meeting experience. So everyone's probably had 10 people on Zoom or Teams and another 10 in the meeting rooms, and sometimes it doesn't work, especially when people are talking over each other or not being clear. But what are the ways around that? What are the rules that we're going to set? But also, never has it been so important that it's hybrid working models to really look at our individual work style as well. So if you're in the office and you see a team in a particular space of the office, it's easy to see that team as a collective, as one. Okay, now we've really got to start tuning in to how people are different. Okay, so we got to provide team members with the freedom to continue evolving their individual style, in addition to be able to build collaboration and that team ethic as well. And just putting on some research from Google, actually, with their project Aristotle, which looked at why teams performed and why others didn't. A key theme that went through, that they looked at, individuals within these teams, they don't want to leave their personality at home, their individuality. Okay, people want to be their true selves and feel that they can share ideas in a psychologically safe environment. Okay, no person is an island, and business is a real team sport. And this is what TeamFlow really looks to get to work teams to better, individuals in a seamless way, which is going to have a benefit for the organization. Okay, so with that, I'm going to hand over to my esteemed colleague Jamie, and he's going to take you through what TeamFlow is, and why we do it here at Bain in French. And then I'm going to come back at the end just with some closing statements and how you can build a relationship with Bain in French. We'd love to hear your thoughts and kind of next steps. So, Jamie, I will hand over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ben. And once again, good afternoon, everybody. Rachel, if we can move on to the next slide. Thank you so much. So yeah, what is TeamFlow? Ben's spoken really nicely there around some of the challenges that we're seeing in industry and in the world of work. But really, what is TeamFlow? Let's start exploring what that means. So I suppose first and foremost, it's a new approach, and it really does take our understanding of the importance of what flow means to individuals, but by extending that then to teams and also across organizations, thinking about what conditions can we create to really allow people and really allow teams to start flowing in that kind of harmony state. So think across organizations, we're able to then collaborate effectively when we're in flow, but we also really encourage those more human ways of working. So leveraging what it is that makes us human, really building on that and bringing and translating that into the workplace to improve both performance and outcomes, but also that well-being focus, supporting individuals and people from a well-being perspective. Something also that's very, very important is thinking about the future, and Ben's spoken a bit there around in a hybrid world, thinking about challenges in the future and thinking about some of the things that we've perhaps not even encountered or even comprehended yet. So flow really helps us when teams are in flow to be best positioned to meet those business challenges of the future as we adopt, as we say, new forms of working. Organizations become more complex, and organizations become more diverse in their workforces, but also in the way that they approach challenges. So we believe quite strongly that TeamFlow will be absolutely critical to the long-term success of individuals, of teams within an organization, and therefore within organizations too. If we can just move on to the next one, Rachel, that'd be fantastic. So we've looked at what is TeamFlow, why are we doing it? And I think there's three key statements here that really underpin that. First and foremost, if we take the first statement there, our mission is to humanize the world of work. It's to take what we already have in a working context and really start to dial up and leverage those human qualities that we all have, we all possess, and we all crave to be able to do so more in a working context. And it's really leveraging those in the world of work to the benefit, as we say, of those three key dynamics: the individuals, the teams, and also the wider organization. We know that when teams work effectively, it is to the benefit of everybody. And when workplaces become more human, it's a huge step forward in support of the mission of humanizing a workplace, but also supporting individuals from those performance and well-being contexts. The real key measures when it comes to people and when it comes to measuring whether people are being effective and effectively supported. The TeamFlow concept really, sorry, Rachel. Thank you so much. So just a few facts just in regards to TeamFlow, thinking of it as a concept from a Bailey and French perspective. So some big numbers here, actually. Initially, we know that 86% of people at work quote or cite collaboration or ineffective communication as a real cause of workplace failures. So anything ranging from projects maybe not quite being delivered on time, all the way through to mistakes or potentially bigger things happening across the landscape there. So quite a lot of people saying that with collaboration being a key factor, a craving really for that to be dialed up. And if we look at the very next statistic, 97% of people, a huge amount of people saying if they lack alignment, that can severely impact the outcome of a task or project. And thinking back to what Ben's shared already earlier on in the conversation, these are key factors that TeamFlow focuses upon: people being aligned in terms of their direction, but also being able to collaborate and communicate effectively, openly, and in a human way. Almost everybody, 99.1%, so only a very small number of people opposing this, but almost everybody preferring a workplace where essentially people can discuss issues openly, honestly, and in a way that is a safe space. So again, huge numbers there, nothing to contradict what TeamFlow is working towards. And again, those conditions I mentioned just a few moments ago being really, really important when it comes to creating that environment and the conditions for people to really flourish and be able to be themselves, whether that's speaking honestly and openly or behaving in a way that's authentic to themselves. Organizations are 4.5 times more likely to retain talent, retain best employees, and keep hold of the people that are really driving impact across a business if teams are in flow and if individuals are operating in a flow state. Really quite significant if we think about the attrition statistics that we're seeing across a number of different sectors at the moment. We're seeing quite a lot of turnover in staff, but something that's crucial to the success of businesses from a financial and a delivery perspective is the ability to really retain the best talent and the best employees. We know that flow is really closely linked to people being comfortable, supported, and more likely to be retained as a result. And then finally, just over a third of people say that working with a great team is their number one reason for staying in a role. So really thinking about all the factors that drive people leaving businesses or even staying in organizations, things like pay, things like leadership, direction, but also the roles that they're doing. But a third of people, 1 in 3 roughly, is saying actually working as part of a great team is a real driver for that. And so there's a significant impact there. Again, both financially, but also from a productivity and well-being perspective in supporting people to be part of great flowing teams. If we could just move to the next page, Rachel, that would be fantastic. Thank you so much. So a couple of quotes here. Some of them you may have seen before, and certainly some names that you may resonate with, but really just to highlight the importance of teamwork. How do we work best in teams, and some insight there just to give you an idea of some of the factors that lead to effective teamwork. It's not just us that are saying that teams being coherent and teams flowing is meaningful. Some statements here that you may well have encountered before, but a couple of highlights here. The very first one, just calling out that individually we contribute, but together the impact is so much greater. All moving in the same direction in the second quote. Working towards success. And the third quote is that common purpose, the common goal, and really driving towards something that we can share as an achievement or a met objective together. Again, underpinning exactly what it is we're talking around with TeamFlow. Then on to the next section, we're thinking around what happens when teams are in flow. And I've mentioned this already in terms of the 3 key elements. We always start with the individual. We focus on people, and as a result, supported people or people who operate in flow, as a result, are part of then a team in flow, which is in turn then supporting an organization. It's really vital that we explore and make sure that teams have individuals within them that are perfectly clear around their role expectations. And just reflecting on that in a moment as you're listening, thinking about the people that you work with or even yourself individually, are we 100% clear on our role expectations? They're measured often in a number of different ways in terms of objectives or KPIs or potentially even SMART targets that we align every quarter. But are we 100% clear of what that means and what's expected of us? Linking to that is the ability to play to our strengths. Everybody in every team, in every organization has their own unique DNA, if you like, when it comes to a strengths perspective. So are we really leveraging that, and do we fully understand the people within our own teams, what they love doing, what they're brilliant at doing, but also how can we leverage those strengths to lead to better culture, people who are feeling more energized and engaged in their work, but feel much more confident in what they're doing and what they're pushing towards when it comes to expectations too. And ultimately, people want to operate in a psychologically safe environment and have the ability to be open and honest, perform in a way that once again is authentic to themselves, but feel free to speak up, feel free to be open with thoughts and opinions. And as we develop and grow and continue to strive for fully diverse workplaces, people feeling able to be embracing their own views, their thoughts, their cultures, their backgrounds and experiences is hugely important, especially when it comes to teams being in flow, but teams more widely as a bigger point there. From a team perspective, if we can foster those relationships, give relationships time to grow, to develop, and to flourish, we're ultimately going to be leading towards better outcomes, achieving our goals, and also people feeling part of something that's really, really special, which again, we know is super important when it comes to individuals operating in a team environment. Achieving goals is as Ben said, it's all about working together. It's all about knowing what I contribute. And when we're in flow as a team, we're all super clear and we're all pointing in the right direction. So we're able to then achieve things together, making then a successful team. And finally, thinking about an organization. So creating those platforms really to maximize people's visibility and amplify belonging. So a team within an organization, if we have fully functioning and flowing teams within an organization, we're going to see really powerful communication. We're going to see inclusivity and trust being maximized. But also what we're going to see is people operating with a real awareness and a sense of cohesion, which leads to, if we work from the bottom upwards, it leads to better business outcomes. It leads to higher performing and supported teams and people who are performing well and have their well-being supported. So it's a complete win-win all around if we can get teams into that particular flow state. Then if we can just move on to the next page, Rachel, that would be great. Thanks ever so much. So in terms of team flow, there are some key components. So breaking it down into, I suppose, our approach to team flow. And there's three key elements here that I'd like to just outline in a little bit more detail. So we do have the separation element of team flow. We have the alignment element. And we also have the cohesion element. So we essentially are able to split it into those three key factors. If we're thinking about team flow as a concept, there's 9 then conditions that underpin those. And hopefully you can see from the color coding on the slide that the 3 conditions that feed into each of those key elements: separation, alignment, and cohesion. Whilst I'm talking through, again, I don't think the chat function's particularly effective on this call, but what I'd like you to do is just reflect as I'm talking through. Do you resonate with any of these conditions as I'm talking through? Are there any areas where potentially we could look to dial up or dial down any of these? And once I've gone through all of the 9, just have a think about which one of those potentially is the most meaningful in your work context at the moment. So I'll talk through them briefly just to give you an idea of what they mean from a team flow perspective. Then I'm going to put you on the spot when I get through them, because I'd like you to share which of the 9 it is that you're finding is currently the one that you're finding most important or resonating with you the most at this moment. So I'll give you fair warning. So as we go in, just starting with the separation elements, that unique contribution to start. So I think I've mentioned it loosely already, but what do I bring? Who am I? What's my contribution to a team as an individual, as a person, as part of that team? Am I aware of what I bring, what my role is, and am I absolutely clear on how I'm going to lead into that success as part of whatever it may be, the team or the organization? Which leads into that clarity of expectations. Am I clear as an individual on what's expected of me? And that will be measured for everybody on this session in a number of different ways. But are your people, or are you as an individual, as part of a team, 100% clear on what's expected to drive towards either a goal or moving towards a particular challenge that you're trying to solve as part of that team? And then safe to stretch. So people want to feel safe to stretch. They want to be able to push themselves, try new things, but it needs to be in a psychologically safe environment where people feel comfortable to try. So can I try things as part of being in this team? Am I able to explore things? And can I be brave and develop really on my growth mindset to push myself and stretch myself to grow, which we know people are really passionate about. As part of a team, we want to push, we want to reach, and that's something that's super important as part of the separation element there. Then on to alignment. So we've looked at separation. If you remember the video showing the starlings, we're all individuals as part of that murmuration moving together. But when we look at alignment, we're all in line. We're all pushing in the same direction. So team goals, what is it we're trying to achieve as a team? Similar to clarity of expectations in a way, but what is it our team is pushing towards? What would success look like for us as a team? So thinking again really, really clearly about what it is that we can measure teams against. On track is around communication and updates and people and teams wanting to know progress. How well are we progressing towards whatever it is our goals are? Are we making strides in the right direction? Are people's unique contributions building up and stacking up in terms of us being able to meet our goals? And ultimately, we know that when teams are on track, and we know that when, excuse me, our goals and well-being are monitored, we know that then creates a real ebb and flow of energy amongst people within a team, and helps us to focus on current challenges or anticipated challenges using either successes already we've made or thinking about, again, how we can revise partway through and look to realign focus. And then finally in this section, we've got team motivators. So relatively self-explanatory in the sense that we need as a team not only an identity, but also regular check-ins on our motivations. How are we feeling as a team? We're working on something and it's very task focused, but how do we actually feel about this as a wider team? We know that when team members allocate their efforts and resources between individual and team goals, we're then able to focus on what really does drive success in a team and thinking about individuals who have, again, I'll go back to the strengths. People have unique strengths, motivators and engagement factors that they look for, but teams do as well when we look at putting all of those individuals together and really aligning those as part of that middle section is really, really key in terms of team flow, but also individuals flowing as part of those successful teams. Finally, bringing it back together with that cohesion, respectful relationships. Ben spoke earlier brilliantly about how we can look to respect people across a new hybrid way of working and into the future. And it really is creating flow beyond that kind of individual state to understand how relationships work best and forming those really high quality connections that are open and really start to enable that collaboration to happen in the easiest but most meaningful way. Linking again into the hybrid ways of working, but those platforms for connection, thinking from a technology perspective, have we got all of the tools we need for people to connect both meaningfully, but in a way that is going to support the team goals and people being able to contribute in a way that they have that expectation to do so. Thinking about Microsoft Teams, thinking about all of the internal systems that no doubt there'll be a variety of on the call today. Are they the effective platforms that people need to communicate? And are people using them in the right way to support those conversations and those human connections that we're looking to or striving to connect with? And then finally, thinking around the powerful communication. So powerful communication encompasses both being open and honest with your thoughts, feelings, views and opinions, but also the ability to really actively listen and look to really have a positive and a strengths-focused communication to support individuals within those high-performing teams. Strengths-based feedback, and we haven't got time to go too much into strengths-based feedback today, but providing strengths-based feedback is a fantastic way that we're seeing organizations adopt at the moment in terms of really having that meaningful, powerful communication with other people, whether that be in the team or again across the wider organization. So they are the key conditions. Ben, I appreciate I did set you up for this at the start. I'm really keen to know how you want to talk about that.
I think I think the part that resonates with me, and I'm working with clients like this at the moment, is that alignment piece, and especially around staying on track. So really understanding as a team, where do we spend our time, but what's energizing us. So within the team, in that separation part, we'll understand each other's strengths. We'll understand, and people don't know what strengths are in a positive psychology term. It is things that energize us, where we find our flow, and so that piece about staying on track. So we know our strengths, we know our team goals, but how do we work in optimal periods where we can get that peak performance. Now, I said at the beginning, we can't always work in peak performance, we can't always work in that flow, but what are the activities, what do we do as a team that we can spend time in the peak flow, but also do the stuff that maybe doesn't energize people within the team as much, but obviously has to be done for the benefits of the organization. So it's really that kind of time and energy balance, especially what resonates with me and what I'm speaking to clients about quite heavily at the moment.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ben. Appreciate that. And yeah, good insight into kind of the conversations you're having at the moment as well. And just to reassure people who are on the session today, what we will be doing is at the end of the session, we'll give you an ability to tap into some of these resources to find out a little bit more about what each of those conditions mean. And by all means, if you want to have a discussion around those bits and bobs that we've talked about, or want more depth just to understand what that means to you as an organization, more than happy to jump on a separate call and just talk them through. But keep your eye out for the additional information that is coming up in a slide or two's time. So they're the conditions of TeamFlow. Just then taking that one step further onto the next page, it's who is it for? And you might have got the gist of this through what myself and Ben have been speaking around today already, but really TeamFlow and the TeamFlow program is for anybody. Whether that be somebody who's brand new into the world of work, all the way through to senior leaders and business leaders. The learning is applicable to all, and the concept of teams being in flow is one that is supported by people at all levels. So hopefully that came across, but again, the content and the way that we deliver the session is one that is applicable and beneficial to everybody. In terms of the actual TeamFlow sessions, people in an organization, we see a number of different ways, really. We can come and deliver the sessions, but also people in organizations can become certified to train other teams and to develop that capability, and thinking how far and wide can we spread the concept of TeamFlow to then support, again, those high performing and well-being supported teams. But again, we see a huge variety, just alluded to by Ben there, in terms of the conversations we're having and the positioning of TeamFlow. But just to reassure you, it can be used across all different populations, all sizes of teams, or particular business divisions, and we're seeing a number of different approaches of that being rolled out with great success. And as we say at the bottom, it can be either an open or closed course, mixed groups of individuals, or an intact team, just showing again the flexibility. We've spoken a hell of a lot about teams and individuals contributing to teams, but we are seeing also with mixed groups of individuals working in kind of newly formed or hybrid teams, really having a benefit there in terms of, again, being open and honest, having those meaningful conversations, and really leveraging those strengths and factors that make us individually unique humans as part of a bigger thing, either at a team level, or again, taking that to the next level and thinking from an organizational perspective. Which brings us on to the promised stay connected slide. I think we've got a couple of minutes extra, but Ben, I don't know if you wanted to say a little bit around kind of ways that people can stay in touch or find out more.
I think the big key message here is speak to us. So we've got a QR code there that you can scan on your phones, but it will take you through to links. You can join our page on LinkedIn, and we have content on there, Monday live sessions. So every Monday morning we have a live chat, really, and it's all about humanizing the world of work, or the human experience at work. Sometimes we have special guests on there around organizations as well. You could sign up for our newsletter as well. But really, the content that we do produce is really driven by the people who do follow us, and our customers as well. So and our clients. So please speak to us if you want to know anything about positive psychology, anything that we do at Bailey & French, but really about that purpose of humanizing the world of work, then please reach out and speak to us. Within that QR code, there's also the direct email for me and Jamie as well, if you want to reach out. There is, I think we've got 5 minutes left, so I don't know if we've got any time to put any questions in the question function here, but if you have got any questions, please put them here, and we'll come back to you. Jamie, anything to? Oh, sorry, one more thing. I'm also going to start a Tuesday forum. So we've kind of picked that day. It may change, but this is going to be an open invite. I'm going to run the session, and the real topic is going to be, what is your human experience at work? And that could be performance related, it could be related to well-being, it could be related to leadership, whatever's going in your organization, and the human experience within that. I'd love to know. So it's going to be a very fluid session. I'm going to get people from different backgrounds and different organizations, facilitate a discussion, and I'll give some of my thoughts as well. But I'm going to have that on a regular basis, probably twice a month, that we're looking at. So watch out for invites on LinkedIn, on our page, or on our newsletter to come.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ben. And I suppose we've got just over 2 minutes. We did have a question in the chat that I'm happy to read out, and between us we can look to try and answer it. So the question was, how do you balance the different needs which stem from different home lives? We found very quickly that one size does not fit all, but we wish to be fair. So in relation to TeamFlow, Ben, I don't know if you've got any initial thoughts on that.
Yeah, so it comes back to the hybrid ways of working. So it's time. Was it time in that question there, Jamie? Was it time and location?
So the question is balancing different needs which stem from different home lives. So found very quickly that one size doesn't fit all.
Yeah, and I think with this in this early stage it's that transparency, isn't it? It's now. It's important, and I said this earlier, to recognize the individual within that team structure. Okay, beforehand, when we're all in the office, we're kind of seen as a collective. So it's the transparency, and it's the culture of just having open discussions as a team, for the hours that people want to work. Is there anything pressing at home that they need to do that's going to impact? So. And I think within the TeamFlow sessions, everything we do here at Bailey & French is always micro-learning. So everything is very, very, all our sessions, there'll never be a chalk and talk. There will always be ample space to really discuss and learn from experience and learn from each other. So it's about having those conversations and bringing them up with the team to build that trust.
Fully agree. And for me, it's about the individual and their background experiences, strengths, and leveraging those alongside those in the team to really support the variety in which we see people coming with when it comes to a team environment. So I think the question is absolutely right, in the sense that one size doesn't fit all, and we're hearing that more and more. I think it's a couple of the statistics you shared earlier, actually, Ben, showed that people are finding that people working in a wide array of different ways, we're actually seeing some successes there. So I think the ability to have open, honest, and meaningful conversations with individuals, be it from various home life perspectives, is for the greater good.
Yeah, and it's a great question, and thank you. So
Yes.
right on time, we're going to give you. We're just about to come to a close, but thank you again for attending. Remember, any questions, please come back to me and Jamie or Bailey and French. But thank you, and have a good rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.